Guys, on to my second review. So Richard not at Biden's room, that's in the house, and I'm outside the house right now. So yeah, did my last batch of reviews. I've just actually filmed Heart of the Jedi, and I just somehow forgot when I did the others, or is it like 4 in one go? But yeah, this is book 2 of the Han Solo trilogy, the Hutt Gambit. So let's get straight to this then, and won't be long, so I'm not done with book 3 because I'm reading it alongside the Warhammer trilogy, the Grey Knights Omnibus, which is 3 in 1. 200 pages, but the way the text is so damn small, it's clearly 400, so that's taken a while to get through, and I've changed my job role, means less time to read at work, but it won't be long till I'm on book 3. So yeah, book 2, the Hutt Gambit again. Unlike Heart of the Jedi, awesome cover, and this is still years and years before A New Hope, but they didn't decide to de-age Han for the cover or anything, they just make him look pretty much the same as he does in the films, which is fine. So, on to it then. So, book 1 was Han's origin story. Basically was enslaved by the boss, Gareth Shrike, that he worked for, a bit like the Ravagers in Guardians of the Galaxy. And it got to him leaving, finding love, becoming, more importantly, becoming a pilot, so he could then have the advantage when learning to be a pilot for the Empire. And at the end of the book, he became the pilot for the Empire. So I thought, okay, that's book 1. Book 2 will be him at the Empire, because as we all know, he meets Chewbacca there and he escapes the Empire with Chewie. I was wrong. Now, honestly, I don't know if like certain parts were not allowed because this is 1997. You know, we had the original trilogy, we still had the prequels to go. Did George Lucas not allow certain things about Han's past to come up? But big surprise, this book did not focus on his time in the Empire at all. It opens with him, as it even says on the back, he is a fugitive from the Imperial Navy, but he made a valuable friend in former Wookiee slave named Chewbacca. So it's, well, after that you get plenty of like flashback sequences where he thinks to his time, like how he met Chewbacca. As I thought, his mother figure Wookiee from the first book is a big part of his like love for Chewbacca, but he also just obviously hates slavery. He even gets a job where he refuses to transport slaves around, and it's not even Chewie being a slave it makes him, you know, turn on the Empire. It's just his general hatred for slavery in general. So yeah, it starts with, after that you get plenty of flashbacks to it, but I was quite disappointed. I was hoping we'd see, I mean, we know the Empire is a terrible government, but Han does of course reference that they're making the people do worse and worse things, that you didn't think he'd be willing to be, you know, part of a group that guns down innocent civilians, etc. So maybe that's it. Maybe the author thought there wasn't really that much worth telling in a story, like 300-page story of him in the Empire, so just bits and pieces, which makes sense because you've got to focus on following up book 1. You've still got the Elysian storyline, you've got his ex-girlfriend who he comes across, of course, may have like changed his identity, he had laser eye surgery done, so he changed everything about himself, fake ID docs, planted old ones on the person that got killed. But the people on Yestelia do not forget. And yeah, a big part of it is the Hutt's in charge of it. Well, Hutt in charge of financing it, but the guy who was like really running the whole thing, who Han destroyed his factory and stole some of his artifacts on his ship, he of course keeps on putting hits on Han, you know, bring him alive, bounties, you know. It doesn't take long till, as you can see on the cover, Boba Fett shows up when the bounty is pulled up to the maximum. And the other plot is of course Han, after he's now got his skills in the Empire and he knows a lot of tricks which make a big difference, impresses Jabba the Hutt enough to work for him, like permanently. Jabba even contacts Boba Fett and basically says, I'm paying you not to kill Han, although Boba Fett plans to go for him anyway one day and pay Jabba back. So that's basically the bulk of this book. It's Han doing missions for Jabba, Jabba and his uncle slash aunt, because Hutts can change gender apparently, mainly when they want to have children, are employing him, and then you've got their enemy Hutts on the other side. So you've got Han part of that storyline. You've got Han's ex-girlfriend, who he names his ship after, didn't relapse, you know, she didn't return to drug addiction. She began part of the group to save the people who are addicted to it, which, you know, seems it's going quite well, but you do get plenty of people who do choose the addiction, but they're still saving a lot of people. And it makes sense to scrap the Empire storyline because you've got that story. There's still a lot more to come in book 3. I guess by having the Empire, you'd either miss all that or it'd have to be a quadrilogy of storylines. So yeah, as much as I just thought we didn't get a huge amount of, you know, focus on him in the Empire, because I figured book 2 is the Empire and him leaving at the end and then planning to go off to Tatooine. Well, not no one plans to go to Tatooine, but just to go where smuggling takes him. In this, he's entirely a smuggler all the way. And yeah, it's a good book. Just a bit of a, you know, surprise you don't see him living the life in the Empire. He's gone from it immediately, but no, there's still a good story to tell without it, which is absolutely fine. So definitely recommended. I can see why people love this one, and again, could not risk damaging the spine. So yeah, I see why people love this Han Solo trilogy more than the others. The other was good. Oh, that reminds me actually. So this book is where he sees the Millennium Falcon, and he just, as he puts it, falls in love. Now, having read the book Millennium Falcon, one that's set after Legacy of Force books, which is basically Han deciding to track down the history of the ship leading up to its creation and all the previous owners, he mentioned there about how when he saw it, he fell in love with it. And it's been so long since I read the book Millennium Falcon, and I sold it because I hate Legacy of Force so much. But I have a strong feeling it's more or less word for word in here and there Han's thoughts on seeing it for the first time. So if it is, that's cool. If it's not, it's still really close, and Han's thoughts in Falcon match his thoughts here, which is pretty cool. So the Han Solo Adventures books, it's him and Chewbacca on missions when they've got the Falcon, whereas Lando's is when he's got the Falcon. So Lando actually saves Han from Boba Fett at the beginning and becomes his friend, a friend Han still doesn't trust. And Han teaches him about how to fly the Falcon around. And several chapters later, Lando returns from a mission where he's made a lot of gems in the Ocean system. So I know I mentioned in Book 1 review that there's references to those adventures. That's true. Those people weren't lying. Book 2 of this trilogy, it's got references to the little wealth Lando made in Ocean. And of course, Han doesn't have the Falcon yet, so I assume he's going to get the Falcon in Book 3, and then we'll see a time jump or reference to him going off to the places he went to in his other trilogy. So yeah, that's just so cool to see, having read the Lando adventures not long ago, reading about how Lando had gone off to that system and made all these got away with all these like gems or whatever they were, was just so cool to see that written in here. So yeah, AC Crispin knows his stuff, or he was maybe given a template of previous events, but the fact that he chose to include them all is awesome. So I mean, I'm looking forward to Book 3 when Han wins the Falcon, because this basically ends with him preparing to go off to a very, very expensive Sabak casino where the prize is going to be enough money to buy his own ship. But of course, I won't say here in case someone's forgotten, but he ends up with the Falcon. I won't say how, but I guess that ends up being part of the big poker / Sabak game. So yeah, that's Book 2. Massively recommended. It's cool seeing Han with Jabba and the other Hutts. Again, Han's knowledge of other languages is brilliant. Han's not just some idiot. He knows lots of languages, and he knows how to deal with all alien species. Like, works out he's like, Hutts love flattery. He stands his ground, thinking it's a test but not being sure. And then that's the correct thing to do. He refuses a slavery mission no matter what the cost from Jabba. So it's just really cool seeing this. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Book 3. It's a shame when it's all done, because after this it's the two remaining Clone Wars books never read. Not counting the Clone War ones, because there's a couple of others that are apparently based around that era, even though they're in this timeline. And then I've got... Hang on. The 2 Clone Wars... Oh yeah, the 2 Disney canon, as they call them, ones. Heir to the Jedi, which is going to be after the Clone Wars ones, because that was originally before the expanded universe. And then Bloodline, when I got in a free deal when I bought a bunch of Now CDs at Christmas, buy 2 get 1 free, etc. And they had a Star Wars book there, and I hear Bloodline is one of the good ones. And then I'm going to reread Kenobi. So, won't be too many more of these book reviews left, but I guess I'm going to have to move on soon. Warhammer ones soon, and get my Jim Patterson ones going, because that's a future read. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, highly recommended it, and much like Heart of the Jedi, this is not going anywhere. I was dreading this being like the Han and Lando ones, where I really enjoyed Book 1 and then just didn't enjoy Books 2 and 3 and ended up selling them. Lando one's still available, by the way, same as Scoundrels. Oh my god, almost missed something, which I actually did another bit of research on. So, in this, the ending, so spoiler for this, basically Han defeats the enemies, like the Jabba's enemies decide to... the Empire decide to attack the Hutt space planets because Palpatine decides to clamp down on illegal actions, that includes the Hutts. So naturally the Hutts only defend their planet and leave the moon, Nar Shaddaa, open, which is where Han and all the smugglers are. So basically Han and the others stop them, and they do a really cool trick, which is actually from Black Fleet Crisis. They basically make an illusion appear to look like there are way more ships than there actually are, and then that helps them to win the battle. And I was reading that bit, I was like, what book is that from? I was like, just thinking of all the ones I've been reading recently, my first thought was the Callister Trilogy, like any of those three. No, it wasn't that. Or Darksaber, that's not really part of the trilogy. Darksaber is its own thing. Oh, I thought, could it be one of the other ones I've been reading lately? Like was it Heart of the Jedi? No. Was it Fate of the Jedi with the Felinisi? No, it was Black Fleet Crisis, where they basically have these people do the same sort of thing. Because, yeah, Heart of Jedi is just they're a bunch of, like, people who've chosen peas all get slaughtered by the Empire for no reason. But yeah, just 1997, and I'm sure the Black Fleet Crisis books were written around that point. So I do wonder if he was reading that or they were sharing ideas, because very, very similar. Let's create an illusion, because Han makes a friend, another girlfriend who he doesn't work with, who's like a master magician, and she just makes loads of tricks appear. Obviously in Black Fleet Crisis it was a force power, but in this it's just using their technology and a really cool magician woman. So that's like totally unexpected and a really good surprise. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what book 3 will do. So yeah, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you for the next one. Hope it won't be too long.